We got to break Cereba up. Cereba is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because, let me tell you something, this is Dart Island. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Almost afternoon, but we managed to make it for the morning. Today is Friday, the 31st of March, end of the month. You're all, end of March is a couple of hours away. It seems like we just had New Year's Eve celebrations. So we just got to stay focused on what's happening here now and try to make April be better than last. Just 1 second. Yeah, so a couple of things I want to touch on. Not going to stay on long this morning. We had a couple of conference calls and Zoom calls this morning, hence the reason why we're starting kind of late. But I made a promise that we'll be back on regular scheduling shows. So I'm making it, this is the second week now that we've had a full week of shows last week, and this week is 2 weeks in a row. So there's a couple of little small things I want to just house clean on right quick. Obviously, I know that there's been a back and forth feud between, well, not even a back and forth. It's just been Sandra Catron on Mall Road, obviously on the defensive because they're always speaking things with no substance. They're always speaking things without finding out the real truth behind it. They just like to talk for viewership purposes because they're a large part of their audience is no different from she is. And that's fine. That's okay. That's their little niche. No problem. But when you start calling people names and bringing people children into it, I don't lay down and play dead. Problem is yesterday, as predicted, she's so predictable. Yesterday, as predicted the day before, that she would come back on trying to slander and go on and call all sorts of things, and she come up with this new thing now. Not even new, it's old. She keep repeating the same things over and over when it comes to Mario Dion ranking. The problem is that she ain't got nothing else to say. There ain't nothing else to say. She said that my uncles tried to sue me for some reason. I didn't listen to it, but a lot of people called me and told me that that Mr. Johan Moxham called in on her show and corrected her with the finite details of that current situation at that situation at the time. And the problem is that Offshore Alert doesn't take anything down. They just keep anyway. It doesn't matter. They're not a far cry from Mall Road anyway. So who cares? The thing is that she got on there and started saying a bunch of stuff that she didn't have. She had no clue of the context. So thank God Mr. Moxham was listening and was able to call in and correct her with the factual details surrounding it. Now, I don't know the circumstances as to why she decided to talk about that particular case. That was not a case, and I'm assuming that she might have mentioned Mr. Moxham's names, and I don't know what in what context. I really don't know. But I'm happy to know that she was able to be corrected on air live while she was streaming her concoction of what she thought the realities were. And she keeps saying my sources. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear, right? When a person has split personalities and alter egos, her source is her. She is her source. Okay? That's where she gets the information from 90% of the time. Her imagination from her alter ego or her split personality individual. That's who her source is. Yes, the police leak out information to her who've been arrested and what those kind of things we've seen where she's gotten information before anybody else have come in directly from some reports. I don't really care about none of that. All I know is that she's always attempted to try to make people look bad and make herself look good. 3-time convicted liar, in court right now for blackmail, been in court for multiple things. There's even a video that she posted on her page. You guys should just, all of you followers of her should just go back and look at it when she said, "Hi, happy Thanksgiving. I'm going into court now for sentencing." When you go to court for sentencing, the definition of I showing up to court for my sentence is because I was found guilty, something in which she has never come to terms with. She claims she's never been found guilty. She never paid a dime. But the fact that she was found guilty on lying, what makes you think she was going to start telling the truth after that point? So we're going to end that segment. We're going to end that situation. We're going to move past the attention of someone who struggles with the truth. You know, there's so many stories out there about these people, about her and other people. And I don't get into the name calling. I don't try to tear her down. I don't do any of that. I know a lot of stuff. I just don't say nothing because it's not what I do. And I don't really care. Okay? But when she gets to the point where she wants to bring in my children about I can't see none all this foolishness, I have no idea what she's talking about. None at all. I have a great relationship with all my children, so I don't know what she's talking about. At the end of the day, that's what's expected from Sandra, is for her to emphasize, try to tear down, try to create her own scenario to draw attention to that person and not herself. She started this thing, you know. I didn't start this, you know. Last week she decided to say something about Mario Rankin. I didn't even know. I was like, why am I on Sandra's show? I didn't say nothing to her. I don't know, talking about the landfill. And then she lied on that show, quote unquote. Dart gave Mario money to clean up Cayman that he misappropriated. That was a lie. She's a liar. She have no way of proving to anybody on this planet or the planet she lives on that that's a fact. She can't show one shred of documentation that say Dart gave me a contract to clean up Cayman, and she can't show one shred of document to show that I misappropriated the funds and that drivers never got paid. She is a bold-faced, unconscionable liar. I don't know what's wrong with all of you people who watching her lie about things all the time. Remember, you know, you throw a rock in a pig pen. The one that get hit is the one the one that make the noise, the one that got hit, you know. So anyway, done with that now. What we need to focus on is some of the realities that we're currently facing in Cayman, some of the hardship of people who are not able to maintain the bills and the way of life in Cayman. It's just to a point where, what do we do? How do we get from where we are now to a better place, a more sustainable place where we need to be? We know that we got energy, we got food, we got all of these things that we have to consume by compulsory that are seemingly on a mission to get as high as possible with nobody really looking at these things. I was driving across the gas station yesterday, and I always make it a habit to look up at all the prices of the fuel that are available. And diesel has gone up again. Diesel is at $5.75 a gallon. Ladies and gentlemen, that is very close to $7 US per gallon. What if I told you that I have a person that I know that I do business with and I'm going to be doing business with in the future in Jamaica for fuel and fuel storage? They could deliver fuel to Cayman for $3.25 US a gallon for number 2 low sulfur diesel. How is it that they're selling it for $5.75 here at the pump? Can anybody explain that to me? It's all about where they're getting it from and that they're not regulated and they're allowed to sell it for whatever they want. We don't know what they pay invoice costs. We only know the volume. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't pay on cost, they pay on volume. Let me say that again. The fuel providers in the Cayman Islands do not pay on invoice costs. Their duties are not applicable to invoice costs, only to volume, the amount. Government charges 75 cents per gallon. And don't nobody complain about that because that's the only thing we get back. We mightn't get it at the pump, but we get it in government revenues, which sometimes, or not sometimes, I should say, a lot of times we see misuse of funds, like buying a piece of land on spots that we can't ever use because of the hurricane threat that land poses. And again, these are the things that happen that nobody has a conversation about. We don't hold these people accountable. Everybody in cabinet can't tell me they didn't know that they were buying Mariners Cove property on spots. Nobody can tell me they didn't know. Why would you even consider that as a purchase when you got vacant lots down 7 Mile Beach where you could buy and reserve for beach access for local people? We got these little 2-foot narrow corridors to get down to the beach where the high water mark only gives us the allowance to swim in the water. We can't really dwell on the beach per se. Because if you go either left or right and you're above that high water mark, you are trespassing on private property. And under the fixed boundary laws, if they don't allow you to be there, you can't be there. You're breaking the law. So when we hear all of these shallow conversations about, oh, beach accesses are blocked up, and I've even shared a video showing a beach access that were blocked. But at the end of the day, that access take us where? All the way down to the end of that path, to where the high water mark again limits us to where our activity can take place in that vicinity. That little narrow path goes all the way down to the water. That's how many people could fit in that little square footage of beach? How many? Not a lot. Come on, man. So why the government didn't focus on purchasing property that were vacant along the West Bay Road where the beaches are and securing that land? I know Dart went down and bought up as much as he could, much as he thought was important to his portfolio. Why we couldn't do the same? No, we go buy Mariners Cove. You know who uses Mariners Cove? The surfers, the people who surf. You know why they surf out there? Because they get good wave action. You know why you get good wave action? Because it's right next to the ocean. No reef barrier protecting that shoreline. We all saw what Mariners Cove ended up after Hurricane Ivan. It washed off its foundation into the middle of the streets in spots. And our government felt the need, the unbearable need to go and purchase that land to do a wellness center. Are you kidding me? These are the people who gets up on a podium and say they got Cayman in the best interest. And you got people starving. People can't afford to put food on the table. People losing their homes. That money could have went into CIDB to secure mortgages at low interest rates. That's where that money should have went. When are we gonna stop accepting the low level tier of politicking around this country? When are we gonna wake up and refuse to accept this subpar standard that has become par for the course for the existence of the Cayman Islands and all the people who live here and got to live in the consequences that are handed down because of the lack thereof or the poor decisions that are made within government? We have to stop, stick a pin, and start asking ourselves a very important question. Where and how? Where are we going to be and how are we going to survive in the next 50 years if things don't really necessarily take any major shift? Because it ain't going to be the Cayman kind. You all can forget that. And let me tell you something. You have no idea how much I despise that term, Cayman kind. We don't have a brand. So how in the world are we going to have a kind? People don't understand. These things are not real. It's unrealistic for us to boast Cayman kind. The only thing we've been for too long is too kind. That's a fact. That only Cayman kind we've been. There's not one single place in Cayman that you can go right now and get a full, authentic Cayman cuisine from top to bottom. Nowhere. When tourists ask where we get local food from, they send them Wellies and Peppers and all these places that is Jamaican geared, and that's fine because they're good food in those places. It's Caribbean food, nonetheless. But I'm saying there's no identity that identifies the Cayman brand. The closest thing that came to Cayman brand was Cayman Cabana, owned by Luigi Moxham. He used to have a lot of the Cayman cuisines there. I think he still do, but I'm just saying he probably one of the only places that have a nice broad spectrum of food, but he still have his international menu. You can still get burgers and fries and chicken tenders and wings and those kind of things as well. But I'm just saying, Where is the Cayman brand before we start running around here about, oh, that's Cayman kind? No, you can't, you cannot, under no circumstances, have a Cayman kind when you don't have a Cayman brand. You just can't. And that's the reality of that situation. But again, how do we move from where we have an identity to not having an identity? Listen, we come from good stock. We come from awesome stock of people. I don't know how we have inadvertently become these mindset people who didn't care or don't care about what our stock is. Our ancestors must be rolling in their graves when they see what's happening right here in Cayman at this very moment. They want to increase the population. Okay, fine, let's do that. But who are you increasing it with? Tell me, who are you increasing it with? We've created this fictitious need of activity of an investor that we have sold the very thing that we didn't even have to begin with. And that was a true, real identity and brand. And the people of these islands struggle with identifying with who they are, where they come from, where they're going. I listen to a lot of different radio shows and different things. I hear Mr. Dr. McField talking passionately about all of the history of Cayman and it all going down the tubes because when he generation gone, who documenting this? Speaking of history and documentation, yesterday late evening I got a very pleasant phone call, unsuspected by the way, and because I don't have permission to call a young lady's name, I won't call her name. But I got a call from someone in the government office asking me to attend today's ceremony at the Georgetown Library where they're going to be recognizing the women who signed the petition back in the 50s for the women's right to vote, right? And why it was a pleasant call is because two of the women whose signatures are on that document are Sister Janice Rankin and Ermin Rankin, two sisters. Ermin is the oldest. Sister Janice was the youngest. My grandmother is their sisters. So they're my grandmother's sisters who happened to raise me and my older brother Randy. Now, now, not only the fact that they participated and were conscious of their environment from in the 50s, because remember, even in the 50s, segregation and racism was a real rampant thing. Might not have been on the same levels in Cayman as they were in North America, but they were hanging people in the South in America back in those days. So what I'm saying is that in a time of massive discrimination, not only against women, but against people of color, and they happen to be both women of color and a woman in a time which discrimination was seemingly legal in most places. My two grand aunts, God bless their heart and soul, may they rest in peace. And I hope that they dwelling in the house of the Lord because they were God-fearing people. Had the bravery to put their name on that petition so that women can vote in these islands. And I was called where an extended invitation was to come down and witness the celebration of these ladies, which they have been doing in each district. And a plaque will be put up on the wall outside the library that will have their names enshrined forever, right? As taking place in something that was a landmark in Cayman. So when I be reminded of these things, just as recent as last night, of how good of a stock we've all come from, I feel really saddened by where we are today, where it's a carefree kind of careless situation where people just don't understand what was sacrificed so long ago for us to have an opportunity to even be where we are today, regardless if we're getting it wrong. The fact of the matter is that if we realize that something isn't going right, let's do everything in our power to fix it. If there's a constitutional order that create hindrances for the continuity and the sustainability of a Caymanian, let's fix that portion of the Constitution. If there is something that is fundamentally wrong with the system, that creates a hindrance again to anybody in the Caymanian society, more importantly, the indigenous people, and I use the term indigenous because that's who we are, then we need to approach the problem with highest priority to fix it. We keep putting on our blinders and pretending as if it don't exist, thinking that it'll fix itself, and it never will. If we don't fix it, it won't get fixed. If we don't start to identify with what the issues are, we'll never be aware of it. Generation now is responsible for generation next. What we didn't do today, they may do tomorrow. What one man can't do, 10 can. So we don't need to sit down here in this minefield of hardship, walking with our blinders on, and every time we hear the sound click, we hit a minefield, knowing exactly what's going to take place the moment we lift our feet off of it. So how do we transition from a mindset where we have been subliminally and consistently brainwashed over the last 3 decades into believing that we're not worthy, we're not ambitious, we're not creative enough, and more importantly, we're not willing to do what it takes and what is needed for us to get to the next chapter. The problem is that we see the constant abuse from political powers to be right down to the governor. And for anybody who think the governor didn't abuse the Cayman Islands, he may not have abused his power, which was given to him under the Constitution, but he certainly abused the rights and the decision of the Caymanian people by overruling a decision that was made in the halls of Parliament, regardless of where we sit on that from an opinion standpoint, regardless of what we believe individually on what that law should have been. The reality is that our colonial masters gave us a very sobering reminder that we don't control anything at all. Whatever the Foreign Commonwealth Office deems appropriate for us, and we have an objection to that appropriation, they can enact Section 81, which is backed by Section 51, to enact and utilize their reserve powers to overrule. And that is the reality that we live in. So when we see very little effort being made to address some of the key fundamental issues that affect us, we need to take a stop and understand that it's not only the politician that don't have the bravery to do it, it's also the system that is systematically working against us from getting anything done without the okay of the Foreign Commonwealth Office. These are facts. The framework for fiscal responsibility was implemented because of the poor behavior of the PPM government and then subsequently finished off by the UDP government. So they had to come in here and implement the framework for fiscal responsibility just so we didn't go out and do what we felt was in the best interest for the Cayman Islands. And it's because a lot of them at the time was spending money recklessly, including the PPM is who started it in that 2007, 2008 recession that we had, that the whole world went upside down, and they were spending in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars on capital projects in which the country didn't or wasn't able to afford. We just cut the ribbon on the schools that Alden started in 2007. And then subsequently after that, he was the premier for 2 terms and never finished the schools. The schools just opened its doors officially. The last one off of Walker's Road this year. So that is a clear demonstration that we've had failures upon failures upon failures who still currently sit in the halls of Parliament, duly elected. And now we see the premier removing the deputy premier and the minister of finances for their own internal reasons. And I'm not saying that it's not a just cause. I'm not saying that that no one shouldn't be held responsible or accountable for the things that they do. I'm not saying that. But what happened to the rest of them? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, let's just understand this, This is the same exact premier that brought Makiba Bush to the table to form the government in which he is now the premier of. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Saunders was forced to resign by the premier now that it's out in the open, We see it in every headline now because of harassment. Now, they didn't state what nature of harassment. Okay, I guess that's next when we put pressure on them. But Makiva Bush was brought in by Wayne Patton for something, for harassment too. Yeah. So I don't understand. Makiva is now currently in court, going to grand court again for another charge. Where is the premier? Where is the premier outrage? He never mentioned one single word about this new case against Makiwa. Not one word. Now, I want everybody to be clear, I'm not picking on Makiwa, I am trying to decipher the actions of the premier as of recent. That's what I'm trying to decipher. You ever heard the saying, he who without sin cast the first stone? Mr. Pannon should be very, very, very careful how he hammered rock in his glass house. I can tell you that. He better be extremely careful. Because I can tell you, there may be somebody holding some conversations on screenshot that may involve him. I don't know. That he may have forgotten about, or he may have never thought that that person would have saved the comments or the commentary in which they're shared in his first term as minister in the Cayman Islands, the 2013 to 2017 season of politics. So, Mr. Panton, maybe you should be double checking your phone. I don't know. Maybe you said something that they deem inappropriate to someone by text. I'm just saying. He without sin shall cast the first stone. But again, people not really paying attention to all of those things. Me, quite frankly, I don't really care about I don't. When you implementing things that affects my existence and my children's existence and everybody else's existence, I got a right to weigh in on that. I have every right to say what I want to say about it. I ain't creating no fictitious stories about anything to draw attention to me. I don't need to do that. Trust me. And when people ask Mario or judge Mario or ask the question, what Mario ever done? Let me tell you something. I done way more than the person that asks him the question. I can assure you of that. Believe that. You can bank on that. But I know word about those things. I want to know that generation now is held accountable and is responsible for generation next. Because those are going to be the people. And that is going to be the generation that is going to define what the Cayman Islands is going to be in the next 50 to 100 years. And we need to be very, very, very prudent in how we move forward and the decisions that we make today. Believe me when I tell you, it's not something that I am making up. As I mentioned on Wednesday, the premier is championing an anti-bullying law. Yeah, championing an anti-bullying law. But goes on Cayman Mall Road and condone and interact with those people, biggest bullies in Cayman. But then, that don't shock me. You know why it don't shock me? Because his behavior of recent demonstrates exactly who he is. You remove Chris for harassment, but you bring Makiva in to form your government? So, the PPM is asking the question, they want to pack and hold it together? What are you talking about? Removing your deputy premier and your minister of finance is a clear demonstration that they ain't holding it together. But then that's just my opinion, right? So I don't understand what it takes for people to really grasp what's going on. I don't mean, what do you do a drone got to land in your backyard? I don't know. Let's check the comments and see what's going on today. Good morning, everybody. It's still morning. We're almost at the 12 o'clock midday hour. Darlene, Becky, just checking some of the comments. Mario, nobody likes the truth. No, you can tell the world that, especially liars. Mm-mm. Morning, Mario. Speaking with Diesel and seeing the cruise ships in the background. One cruise ship footprint is equal to more than 12,000 cars. I'm going to comment on that in a second. I'm gonna add to that in a minute, my friend. Um, who else we got on here? Yes, he did. I can say that, Mario. Glad he's gone. Yep. Everybody got their own opinion, and I respect it. I respect it. All right, so I can just go to the comment that Clinton made, right, in regards to the diesel, right? I want to be very, very, very upfront and honest about my opinion when it comes to this whole thing about diesel and burning, whatever. I want you all to understand this, right? Here is the scientific facts around combustion engines, right? All of the greenhouse gases that is going into the air combined, only 13% of it comes from every combustible engine in the world, right? You want to see something, Clinton? You want to see something really interesting? And I think you'll find this. I think you'll find this very concerning. I mentioned it before in the past, but I want to tell you this. You see later on this evening, if the sky clear and not really cloudy, like around 5:45, 6 o'clock, 6:30, right before it gets dark, I want you to go out on Hawkeye Bay or anywhere along that corridor, Burger King, anywhere around that waterfront area, and I want you to look directly to the horizon and then look a little bit to the left. And what you're going to see because of the trade wind breezes, and now that we've been having some strong wind these last couple of weeks, it may not be there, but if it's still calm or whatever, you look out on that horizon and you will see a dark smoke lingering offshore that comes from CUC generators. It blows down, it goes down there, and then it goes out. Years and years ago, it was so bad where a puff of smut that came from the CUC generators had hit the side of one of Carnival Cruise Line ships and turned it black that CUC had to pay to paint the cruise ship over. Facts. Now, that was never publicized because, you know, yeah, powers to be didn't want that to be a black eye, literally. But at the end of the day, when we focus on the facts and we focus on the things that are going around, people don't really grasp it because if you think that buying an electric car is saving the planet, you make a sad mistake. You buy an electric car out of preference, not out of saving the planet, because you ain't saving the planet by buying no electric car. An electric car is worse than a combustion engine car. Facts. You're charging your electric car with a diesel generator, and the lithium mining is 10 times more deadlier than the oil mining. But these are the common scientific proof data that is available to anybody, but those who want to pick a side choose to pick a narrative as well. So that's why they pump whatever narrative they want. I've asked many environmentalists how you got to this meeting tonight. They all drove their car. They drive their car to a meeting telling you not to burn diesel or gas. So understand that. So when I focus on the things that are happening in Cayman, I not only seen social deterioration, I seen moral deterioration. I seen the identity of who we are deterioration. And the thing that I don't understand is that when I can look back on a document as far as the 1950s, and I saw that Caymanians were conscious enough to be a part of something that would have put them in a better position, that tells me that our consciousness didn't just start. It started a long time ago. From my grandmother days. They knew what was going on. So I find it very hypocritical when I hear people talking about, oh, Caymanians lazy and they don't want to work. I even hear Caymanians telling me, well, I hired Caymanians. The problem is you hired a Caymanian, but what it was you were expecting out of them? And what it was you were rewarding them with? What kind of salary? The problem is that we've created a huge competition between cheap labor and local labor. And that's a fact. You call it whatever you want, but Mario gonna call it cheap labor because that's what it is. It's cheap labor. 100%. When you got a one-bedroom apartment being occupied by 9 people paying one rent, how okay man you gonna ever compete with that sector of people? You'll never be able to compete with them. What those people are willing to work for and accept and conditions, a Caymanian can't even entertain the idea, much less get into that environment and sustain it. They'll never do it. They won't. They're not able to. Do we have lazy Caymanians? Hell yeah, we got plenty of them. But do the Caymanians that fail at wanting to work and being responsible should be the cost that we all pay? Is that the stroke of the brush that you can put us on? People don't really understand, and I can tell you again, it goes back to where they like to judge people, right? And I can tell you from a victim of being judged on a regular basis. Let me tell you all something. There is 4 people on these islands that Mario Rankin have to give massive gratitude for. Well, 5, including my brother Randy. But that went without saying because we were always together. So whatever he did, he fended for me. But I'm talking about my family, right? You got Ermin, you got Sister Janice, you got Eldon, and you got Philip. Those are the 4 people that made sure I was all right, even though I was working against myself. I used to work against myself because I didn't know the difference between this and that. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to create an excuse for the things that I've done. Right? I'm saying this because before you judge somebody, you must understand the context. And sometimes we are so conveniently willing to kill the messenger that we miss the entire message completely. And we still end up in this perpetual state of failure because we're not interested in the message. We're just interested in who delivering the message. Yeah. You don't go to a dog trap expecting a horse race. Right? You don't carry a gun to a gun. You don't carry a knife to a gunfight. Right? You understand me? So you don't tune into a platform that's full of garbage expecting anything different than garbage. So when you are grossly misinformed, it is because of the actions in which you have taken. And that's your responsibility to live up to it. That's your responsibility to create your own awareness, to make sure that you understand what's going on. We understand that the fuel regulation absence is not a thing of is not a mythical Bigfoot. No. We know it not. We know that it is a strategic, deliberate system that is designed to do exactly what it's doing. Benefit the small group of people that benefits from it at the expense of the rest of everybody else. Now I tutored math in high school. Now I don't know accountant, but I can tell you this. When you got an island that's 75 square miles, right, with 72,000 people, that's roughly 1,000 person per square mile. And then you realize that you burning 45 to 50 million gallons of diesel per year, and you got somebody making 10 cents per gallon. You know what 10 cents of 50 million gallons is a year? That's real money, ladies and gentlemen. So why would the person making that 10 cents, who is probably on the smaller part of the chain, why would that person making 10 cents would ever want to change a system that pays him 10 cents a gallon every year? Why would they ever, in their right mind, want to change that? Oh, and by the way, they could break off 2 cents or even 3 cents out of that 10 to spend, to lobby, to keep it the way it is, and still got 7 cents to carry home, which is a tremendous amount of money, even with that. And I'm just talking about the 10 cent man. I didn't even mention the 25 cent man, and the 40 cent man, and the 50 cent man. And I thought it is 100 cents in $1, So to put it in perspective, at 50 million gallons, at $1 a gallon, that's $50 million a year. $50 million a year. And 10 cents is 5 million. So you know how much money the $5 million man got, the 10-cent man, a year? He got $1 million out of that he can give to all of his suspecting people in power to make sure that that 10 cents don't go no lower than that, because if it go lower than that, it go lower for them. And that's how the system runs. Not only here, we're not unique to it. Cayman not unique to it. It's everywhere. Almost every system in the world is designed where those people who are in power is the ones who enjoy the economic benefits because they keep it for themselves. That's why they rip off this story to us about trickle-down economics. Anybody ever bring that foolishness to me ever again about trickle-down economics? Oh, well, you gotta bring these people in, Mario, because it'll create. You guys will get work. You get work doing what? Doing what? Shoveling the snow, backing the aggregate, digging the trenches, pouring the concrete, clearing the land, planting the trees, painting the building, watering the trees. That a job you're talking about? No. We need to own the building. Yeah. We ain't trying to water the plants. We ain't trying to dig no trenches. We're not trying to fill no foundation. We need ownership. That's longevity. That's sustainability. That's generation now looking out for generation next. That's what we should be doing. But half the people in Cayman don't grasp that concept. Same thing with leasehold land. That 4 Cayman Alliance deal where we traded off leasehold to freehold for chump change money so that they can build us a highway. You imagine, ladies and gentlemen, and I can tell you because Mario Rankin was right there at the table watching it, listening, and one of the reasons why I would vote it out is because I would have wanted to raise the question, but why are we doing that? Oh, you're not a government official, so have little to say. No. I mightn't be a government official, but I got to live in these consequences these officials is creating. I'm sorry. I don't agree to that. That 4 Cayman Alliance deal was the biggest ripoff in Cayman history. Oh, we're going to build you a highway from point A to point B. But we're going to want leasehold land in Salt Creek, links to Safe Haven, Ritz-Carlton, and all that corridor. Pure freehold. Lease land went into freehold. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars traded off for $37 million to build a road that only accessed all of their land. Bada Banu Road all the way to Cost You Less, where the new West Bay Road is now, because we gave them the Kempton. And then we turn around and make them build a 5-10-story hotel in the parking lot grounds where the parking lot should be right now. Ladies and gentlemen, understand what I'm trying to say to you all. Don't go sniffing in the bushes trying to smell coffee. You ain't getting it up in there. Listen to me good. They took our beach, built a parking lot on it, then put a connector road behind the parking lot that wasn't supposed to be there, and then turn around and built a hotel on the parking lot ground. How that whole corridor is supposed to be set up, where they're building a hotel now was supposed to be the parking lot. That where the asphalt was supposed to go. Where the asphalt is now is supposed to be the campground. And the road, you see that road they built in between there? All that was supposed to be campground all the way to the beach. And then the beach was access to the local people. So from that West Bay Road, all the way to the public beach, all the way, nothing wasn't supposed to be built in there. That was supposed to be complete public access. Parking lot, campground, beach. What we got now? 10-story hotel, connector road to the Kempton, parking lot, beach. Who you think will occupy that beach when that hotel open up? Because that's not no beachfront hotel, you know. So that's like a comfort inn. That's a holiday inn kind of style going there. It's gonna be a higher grade one. It's gonna be nicely done, but it's not gonna be the cost of the Kempton because Kempton on the beach. So all of those tourists that they're gonna be in that building are gonna be the ones that are gonna bombard that beach. So all of you local people that always pack up on a little cooler every Sunday and your little food, go down there with your family, you can scratch that off your list the day they open that door. Because there's not gonna be no space down there for you. And now I'm hearing that some hero down there that renting jet skis sprayed out the tourists with pepper spray. That's what I heard this morning. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard. Anyway, there are so many pressing issues in our country, and we got politicians up there bickering about who is who and what is what. I don't understand. I don't understand, man. So PPM, to ask your question, to answer your question, if the PAC government can hold it together, they already fallen apart. They lost their deputy premier and the minister of finance. So I don't understand what you're talking about. You might be living on, you might be in the brat. Because here in Cayman, they've fallen apart. Facts. Oh, they can get up on the podium in the CIG office and say, oh, we're great, we're good. The only person who believe them is Sandra. She'd be the only person that would believe that. Only because she don't got the ability to recognize the truth. I'm convinced. 100% she has a mental condition to identify with the truth. Plain and simple. So that mental institution that we getting ready to open, let me be the first person to pledge her first month's tuition. She need to check in there. Anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Cayman Sound Sync. Oh dear God. Don't call that on us. Not too many people got floating devices. What we saying now? Mario also to SBA High School. Yeah. Yep. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I know you know because you always out on that waterfront anyway. So and you grew up on that side. So if anybody would have seen it, you would have seen that for sure. But he said I'm not on that wagon. By the way, I'm not on that wagon. No, I know you're not on that wagon about electric cars. If I can't hear my car engine, I'm not driving it. I need to get from point A to point B. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think I gave you guys a nice little entertainment for today. And I'm just going through the comments, make sure I didn't miss out any comments because I like to keep the interaction open. So, but yeah, listen, Jet Around Cayman is next weekend. So I know for everybody out there that, gonna be out there camping and come on out down to 7 Mile Beach. We're gonna be having the race down there. It starts there and ends there. So we have refreshments, drinks, food, entertainment, a little music. Hurley's Media and Hurley's Group has sponsored some nice little sliders they're gonna be giving out around there. We got the Eastern Avenue Texaco, Rubis, I should say. I might get sued for that. I got the Eastern Avenue Rubis and the 7 Mile Rubis who've donated gas vouchers for all our riders. I want to send out a big thanks to them. We got the DART organization who's donated a room at the Kempton, or let me not say at the Kempton, at one of their hotels. I'd like for it to be at the Kempton. So yeah, we got a good weekend coming up next. I mean, Easter is what we all look forward to. I know some people ain't going to work Thursday. So all of the employers that looking for on the Caymanian workers be work Thursday, and they could mark that off the list. They're gonna be down on the beach cooking up some fish. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, they call in sick. Every Caymanian call in sick Thursday. Guaranteed 100%. Believe me. So enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and please drivers, I'm begging you. Look out for the bicycle riders on the road, man. Jeez and peace. This last recent hit and run down in Frank Sound, man, took a young life and then got another young person injured, man. We got to be more vigilant on the road, man. Come on, man. I mean, I know sometimes accidents happen, I get it. But, because of the high cost of everything, we've seen more and more people riding bicycles. That's a fact. And because of the traffic jams and whatnot, we see these things. So let us try to be a little bit more vigilant on the road. We don't want no more deaths by people riding a bicycle or anything like that and dying, man. It's so sad that these things are happening. So please be safe over the weekend. Don't forget to tune in on Monday, leading up to the last week of a Jet Around. And if you guys going camping, well, I know half the people that going camping already out camping. So I know that. But again, please don't forget to like and share our page. Next week we're gonna be talking about all of the things that are pressing. Cost of living, energy distribution, all of these different things that we need to do. We know that Offreg now is in the ministry of Mr. Ebanks now. So, and I seen some ads in the paper for new board members. So for those people who feel the need to want to contribute to our country and have the capabilities and have the expertise, please apply to OffReg. You know, we need some good, innovative, out of the box thinkers in there and get these things done, right? So please stay safe over the weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday. Don't forget to like and watch our page. And by the way, our YouTube channel is up and running, you know, so you can watch us on YouTube live and direct. All right. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.
We got to break Sariba up. Sariba is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because let me tell you something, this is Dart Island.